Okay, this is long division with polynomials. Now, in order to do this, it's going to mimic what when we're dividing by numerical values. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to rewrite it as a division problem using the division bar. This goes on the outside. What's in the top goes underneath. Now, just like when you're doing regular division, we're going to take the first piece and divide it into the first piece. So I'll write that over here on the side. So we're taking x squared, we're dividing it by x. We simplify that down to a single x, and the x we get, that x goes in the top. Now, just like before, when whatever you had up top, you had to multiply it by what was in front. Now, I need you to pay attention to this. You have to multiply by both pieces. Not just the one piece, you got to distribute it to both pieces. So you're going to have x times x, write it underneath. X times 4, write it underneath. Now at this point, when you're doing regular division, you're going to subtract. Now this is a little different. You just don't put a subtraction sign out there. Here's what you do. What you have is you're going to have a minus in front of this polynomial, or this monomial. So we're going to be subtracting that whole polynomial. What happens when you distribute that negative? The signs change. So over here, when I'm ready to subtract, change the signs. Change this one to a minus because we're subtracting. Change this one to a minus because when we distributed the 1, it changed it to a negative 4. So look over here on the left. I have the polynomial. I'll distribute the negative. We get negative x squared minus 4x. But the easy way is just to change the signs. Now we're going to subtract. You should get a 0 right here. If you don't get a 0, you've done something wrong. Combine the x's together. Now that's a negative 2x and a negative 4x. Gives me a negative 6x. Bring down the negative 24. Okay, now we're going to start over. And we're going to take the minus 6x and divide it by x. So I'm going to come over here on the side. We got negative 6x divided by x, which gives me the x's cross out, and we're just left with negative 6. So negative 6 is what goes above the division symbol. Now, just like before, I have to distribute the negative 6 to both the x and the 4 in pink. So we're going to get negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative 6 times positive 4 is a negative 24. Now, we're at the step where we're going to distribute the subtraction symbol, which means this becomes a positive, and this also becomes a positive. So you're distributing a negative sign when you're subtracting. So we should get 0 here, and luckily we get 0 here. This one does not have a remainder. Some of them will have remainders. But the answer to this one is x minus 6 is what you get when you do the division. Right up here. Now it's a lot of steps, and you got to be careful, especially with those sign changes. I'm going to do a few more problems. Hopefully this will be pretty simple by the time I'm done. Okay, so we're going to take the y minus 3, put it on the outside of my division bar. 2y squared minus 13y plus 21. So I'm taking the y on the outside, dividing it into the 2y squared. So I'm going to come over here on the side. 2y squared divided by y. Well, one of the y's will cancel out, and we're left with a 2 and a y. So the 2y goes up top. Now we're at the point where we have to distribute to both pieces. Highlight that in pink. You have to distribute that to both pieces. So let's do that, and we're going to get 2y times y is 2y squared. 2y times negative 3 is negative 6y. Now, we're at the point where we're going to do the subtraction. So we're going to change the signs of both terms. Oops. You change it to the opposite. This positive becomes negative. This negative becomes a positive. Now, when we add them together, you should get a 0 here. Combine the negative 13y and the 6y, we'll get negative 7y, and we bring down the 21. And now we're going to start over. I'm going to take the negative 7x, divide it into the y. So let's come over here, negative 7x, sorry, y. So we'll take the 7y. It's not an x, it's a y. Take the 7y, negative 7y divided by y. The y's cross out, and we're left with a negative 7. Negative 7 goes up top. And again, we got to take the negative 7 and multiply it by what I've got highlighted in pink. Because negative 7 times y is a negative 7y. Negative 7 times negative 3 is a positive 21. Now we're at the point where we need to change the signs. Distribute a negative means we're changing the sign. So this becomes a positive. This becomes a negative. Now when we combine those together, we'll get 0. When we combine these together, we'll get 0. So this one has no remainder at all. So the final answer is 2y minus 7. And you could check this if you wanted to. You can multiply your answer by what's outside, and you should get back to what's underneath our division bar. If not, then you've made a mistake somewhere. So this is the answer. All right. Let's do this one. I'm going to rewrite it. It's going to be 2x minus 5 divided into 6x squared minus 5x minus 30. Okay, so here we go. We take the 2x on the outside, divide it into the 6x squared. We'll come over here. 6x squared divided by 2x. Well, if we divide 6 by 2, that's 3. And we take 1x away. So we put a 3x up top. And again, I've got to multiply that 3x by everything. Oh, let's erase that. So it's 3x times 2x and 3x times a 5. So 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x. Now we're at the point where we have to change the signs. Multiplying by negative means we change the signs. This one becomes negative. This one becomes positive. Now we combine those together, but this will give me 0. If you don't get a 0, you've made a mistake. Combine the x's, negative 5x plus, that should be a 15. I kind of got rid of them. Let me erase this a little bit. That's a 15. So negative 5 plus positive 15 gives me a 10x. Bring down the minus 30. And now we're going to start all over. So we're going to take the 2x and divide it into the 10x. So let's come over here. 10x divided by 2x. Well, the x's will cancel out. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So we put 5 across the top. Now I'm going to take that 5 and multiply it by what I've got highlighted in pink, both pieces. So we'll get 10x. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. Now we're at the point where we need to change the signs. This one becomes negative. This one becomes positive. Combine them together, that gives me 0. Now I've got negative 30 plus 25. This time, I'm going to have a remainder. Now, here's how you handle the remainder. What's across the top, I bring down. Since it's a minus 5, I'm going to put a negative. I'm going to put the 5 in top of a fraction. In the bottom of the fraction, we put what I've got highlighted in pink. I'll highlight it in pink down here. So we have to represent the fraction, the remainder as a fraction. So since it's a minus, I put a minus here. I put the number in the numerator, and the denominator is what we have on the outside. So this is the final answer. Alright, the next, let's do another one. I think this one has a remainder also. So we set it up. Whoops. 2y minus 1 into, like that. 4y squared plus 8y plus 3. So we start with the 2y and we divide it into the 4y squared. So 4y squared divided by 2y. Well, 4 divided by 2 is 2. Cross out one of the y's, we're left with a 2y. So 2y is what goes above my division bar. Now we're going to multiply the 2y by both pieces on the outside. Don't forget that. 2y times 2y is 4y squared. y times negative 1 is negative 2y. Now we're at the point where we want to change the signs. This positive becomes negative. This negative becomes positive. Okay, we subtract or add, whatever you want to call it, or combine. We get a 0 here, which we should get. I've got an 8y and a 2y. That's a 10y. Bring down the next term. Now we're going to start over. And we're going to take the 2y and divide it into the 10y. So we'll write that over here. 10y divided by 2y. Well, the y's cross out. And 10 divided by 2 is positive 5. So we'll put a plus 5 up top. Now we take the positive 5 and multiply it by what I've got highlighted in pink. So we're going to get 5 times 2 is 10y. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Now we're ready to change the signs. This becomes a negative 10y. This becomes a positive 5. And again, when I subtract, we'll get 0 here. 3 plus 5 is 8. And so I have a remainder of 8. So the final answer will look like this. You'll have what's above the division bar. It's a positive 8, so you put plus 8 divided by what I have highlighted in pink. I'll just highlight it in pink again. So the remainder is positive 8. It goes in the top, and it's positive, so I'll put a positive here. So this is the answer with the remainder. Right, this problem has an x cubed. The more exponents you have, the more times you have to start over. So let's just set it up. It's just longer, but the steps are exactly the same. X cubed plus 3x squared plus 5x plus 3. Okay, again, we take what's on the outside and divide it by the first piece on the inside. So we got x cubed divided by x. I subtract the exponents and I get x squared. So x squared goes across the top. Now we're going to multiply that x squared by everything in pink. X squared times x will be x cubed. X squared times 1 will be just x squared. Now we're at the point where we have to change the signs. This positive x cubed becomes negative. This positive x squared becomes negative. Combine them together, that gives me a 0 here. I've got 3x squared minus x squared, that gives me a 2x squared. Then I bring down the next term. And now we start over. So we take the x on the outside, divide it by the 2x squared. So 2x squared divided by x. 1x canceled out, and we're just left with 2x. So across the top, go a positive 2x. Notice the exponents in the top are decreasing. They can't be the same, they have to decrease. Now, we're going to take the 2x times everything I've got highlighted in pink. So 2x times x, 2x squared. 2x times 1 is 2x. Now we're at the point where we change the signs. This 2x squared becomes a minus 2x squared. This 2x becomes minus 2x. Okay, combine them together and you'll get a 0 here, which you should. Now I've got 5x minus 2x gives me a 3x. And I bring down the last term. It is just like you learned long division. It's long and it's tedious. Now we're going to start over. Oops. We're going to take this x and divide it into 3x. So 3x divided by x just leaves me with a 3. So put a 3 above your division bar. Plus 3. And we take the 3 times everything I got highlighted in pink. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 1 is 3. And now we're at the point where we change the signs. this becomes negative, and this becomes negative. Combine them together, that gives me 0, and this gives me 0. So I have no remainder in this one. So the final answer is x squared plus 2x plus 3. Final answer. Alright, let's do another one. Now, in order to do the division, the terms in the top must be in decreasing order of exponents. So when we put it under the division symbol, you've got to make sure they're in order. So the cube goes first, x squared goes second, the y goes third, and the constant goes last. And now we're going to just start just like before, but we just got to do it more times. So let's take the 4y, divide it into the 12y cubed. Come over here, 12y cubed, divide it into 4y. Well, one of the y's cancels out, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. We put 3y squared across the top. Now we multiply 3y squared times everything in pink. So we'll get 12y cubed minus 9y squared. Let me make sure I wrote the problem down right. This is going to be kind of ugly. Let's see. That is a 3. Something doesn't look right. I think it's going to not work out. So let me see. Okay. Oh, I haven't changed it. Well, let me make sure. Okay, something's not going to work out. I'm trying to figure out what it is. If I do the subtraction at this point, I get this. Now here's my problem. Here, when I subtract those, I'm going to get a negative 2y squared. Okay, the 4y doesn't go into the negative 2y squared. So I'm checking to make sure I haven't written anything down wrong. I've written it correctly, but it doesn't work, and the answer is in the book wrong. Okay, let me find another problem. We'll just skip this number 6. It's not going to work for some reason. Make sure I'm multiplying right. 12y cubed plus 9y. Oh, here's where I made my mistake. Right here. When I changed this was a positive. So when I multiplied 3y squared times 3y, I get a positive. I was jumping ahead, changing the sign. Now we change the signs. This one becomes negative. This one becomes negative. Now it'll work. I changed my sign too quick. Now when we subtract, we're going to get 0 here. Negative 11, negative 9y gives me negative 20y squared. Bring down the next term. Don't know why. Okay, now we're going to take the 4y and divide it into the negative 20y squared. So come over here. Negative 20y squared divided by 4y. Negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. Y squared divided by y is a y. So across the top, we're going to get negative 5y. Now we multiply the negative 5y by everything in pink. Negative 5y times 4y is negative 20y squared. Negative Negative 5y times positive 3 is a negative 15y. Now we're at the point where we're going to change the signs, multiply everything by negative 1. Basically, that's what we're doing. So this becomes a positive. This becomes a positive. Now combine them together, we get a 0. Alright, we got 9y and 15y. We combine those together, we'll get 24y. Then we bring down the 18. Alright. Then we're going to start all over. We're going to take the 4y and divide it into the 24y. So 24y divided by 4y. Well, the y's cancel out. 24 divided by 4 is 6. So we're going to put a plus 6 up top. And multiply the 6 by everything in pink. 6 times 4y is 24y. 6 times positive 3 is positive 18. Now we're going to change the signs. That becomes negative. This becomes negative. So we'll get a 0 here and 0 here. So this is the final answer. Alright, I want to do one more problem involving an x cube. Let's do let me make sure I hadn't done this problem. Let's back up. Let's do 4x cubed, right? 4y cubed plus 8y squared plus 5y plus 9 divided by 2y plus 3. Okay, let's go set the problem up. 2y plus 3 divided into 4y cubed plus 8y squared plus 5y plus 9. Okay, so we're going to start 2y times 4y cubed. Divided into 4y cubed. So come over here. 4y cubed divided by 2y. Okay, one of the y's is going to cross out, so we're left with y squared. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So in the top we put 2y squared. Now we're going to multiply the 2y squared by what I have in pink. So we'll get 4y cubed plus 6y squared. Now we're at the point where we do the subtraction, which means the signs will change. That becomes a negative, and that becomes a negative. Now we combine them together. That gives me a 0. 8y squared minus 6y squared is 2y squared. Bring down the 5y. Now we're going to start over. We're going to take the 2y and divide it into the 2y squared. Over here, 2y squared divided by 2y. Well, one of the y's cancels out and you're just left with a y. So the y goes across the top. Then it's y times 2y plus 3, so it's going to be 2y squared plus 3y. Now we're going to change the signs. This becomes negative 2y squared. This becomes negative 3y. Combine those together, I get a 0. 5y minus 3y is 2y. Bring down the last term. And we're going to start over. And we're going to take the 2y and divide it into 2y. Now, I hope you can see that 2y divided by 2y is just 1. So up here is going to be a 1. Now we multiply 1 times what's in pink, so we get 2y plus 3. Change the signs. This will become negative. This will become negative. We're going to get 0 here. And 9 minus 3 is 6. So this one has a remainder. So we're going to write the remainder at the end as a fraction. So we've got this much. It's a positive 6. So we put plus 6 in the numerator, 2y plus 3 in the denominator. That's what we're dividing by. So this is the answer. Alright. Now, the biggest problem I see is not changing those signs. So you got to remember you're subtracting a polynomial, which means you're multiplying everything by 1, which means you're changing the signs.